Nice. So, game week 34, double game week 34. So, a very exciting week for FPL. Lots of big teams playing twice. So, this is, well, we're definitely gonna target a lot of the big team players. So, if we have a look at the fixtures, just to remind ourselves what teams are having a double. So, this is the fixture list. And we can see that Liverpool have a second fixture against Fulham. So Fulham have Liverpool as well. City and West Ham, Brighton and United. So we have 6 teams, and you're looking at these 4 as the main players we want to target. We'll probably at this point, most people would have used their free hit, wildcard, but would have been setting up for this week. So we probably have quite a lot of these players now, but I just wanted to go through a watch list to see the players I would target for any last minute advice for the game week. So looking at the keepers, and he didn't. There should be someone else here, so I'll name him. But I think the obvious place to start is Alisson and Ederson. Ederson, I think Man City after that crushing defeat against Arsenal, sadly, haven't been keeping clean sheets. They haven't been actually. But I think it's a matter of time where, especially within the Champions League, that they keep blitzing teams, but I have a feeling they're going to get on a roll of keeping clean sheets, keeping it tight, in a sense, reserving energy, winning 2-0s, 1-0s, on their way to, sadly, another title at the expense of Arsenal. Ederson is reliable, low upside, but you're going to get minutes on like quite a few of the other City defenders, which is why I haven't really added them as watch lists. I'll talk about them, but why I haven't added them. Then just talking about Alisson a bit more, just a cheaper route to the Liverpool defence. I would go for a Trent or Robertson, but as goalkeepers goes, these two. And why I haven't maybe added, that's why I didn't add him. So Fabianski is an option for this week, but long term, you'd probably want Alisson, Ederson in goal for you for a long time, for the long run. So I don't think you'd want Fabianski for the next, what is it, 5 weeks left. So that's why. Looking at the defenders, Trent continuing on his great attacking returns. So you can see he's got 2, 1, 1. So and the one against Arsenal as well. So he's returned in 4 games here. Sadly, for if you're an FPL manager who owns them, no clean sheets. Is that about to change soon? Probably not, in a sense. Liverpool. So let's have a look at that XG conceded. So nearly won a game. Actually, the West Ham game was lower than of recent times. Still not necessarily a great value, but you'd expect. Well, they were expected to concede a little less than a goal in that game in their last 2 games, so could be unlucky at least to have conceded 2 against Nottingham Forest. But you're really getting Trent for the massive attacking returns. Against Spurs, you probably think they wouldn't concede a goal. Would concede a goal. Fulham's probably your best bet, but also what you're buying them for is the attacking returns and also the 3 home games in a row. That would be really good. Then followed by Leicester. I don't think you can ask for much more as attacking run of fixtures, or at least you're targeting Leicester because defensively they're not very good. Fulham obviously not very good as well. Spurs have been actually terrible defensively. They just drew 2-2 last night against United, but in terms of the defense, they've clearly shown that most teams can score against them. Brentford could be interesting, but with Liverpool at home, you'd think, well, a win is a different. I'm not sure I'd necessarily bet on a win, but it would be a tough game. But of these next 4 fixtures, a lot of them look pretty good. Then you got Villa a bit harder, then relegate Southampton. It's quite a really good run in for Liverpool actually. Definitely one of the teams to pick. Sorry. Definitely one of the teams to pick if you want just a set and forget type of player. Brighton, they're just a gift that keeps on giving. Actually, defensively, they haven't kept a clean sheet for a little bit now. So last time against Bournemouth, but makes sense though. Spurs, Chelsea, but then the Nottingham Forest was quite a big defeat. And we look at their fixtures. Why they're such a gift is just because they've got a double in 34, double in 36, albeit a tough double fixture, and a double in 37, which includes Southampton in there. So they're just the type of assets where if you've got a lot of Brighton, if you've got Brighton assets, I wouldn't sell them unless like you've got an injured Brighton player. Because in this scenario where you have McAllister instead of one of the other two Brighton boys, I'm not sure it's worth a transfer. These transfers have become really important in the last end of the season. Will become very important. Just want to share a bit of love to the West Ham boys. They did well in game week 32, but obviously against Bournemouth and then against Liverpool they lost. But if we look, a double against Palace and City, so you're not hoping much against City. But Palace, that's a decent fixture to target. Obviously, Roy Hodgson had a mini revival, but lost against Wolves. I think Tuesday it was. So could be a good way to get a clean sheet, and Creswell getting a nice assist, and that normally means quite a few bonus points for him. Hasn't been that great this season actually. Only the assist so far, but yeah, him, and if not Kufal, similar, and he's a very cheap option. He's one where if you are stuck with funds but just want a double game week player, he could offer it, and then he just sits on the bench for most of the rest of the season. So against United, you think they'll score. Brentford, you think they'll score. Leeds, depends how the relegation battle's looking, but has a potential for a clean sheet, and then also has potential for a clean sheet against Leicester. But last game of the season, wouldn't bank on it, as with most defenders, I'd say. But yeah, that was the defenders. So just having a look at the midfield watch list. Salah, obvious reasons. XGI, not that great against West Ham, but actually he's just been pretty good. Is he back to the Salah of old? Maybe not, but he's returning quite consistently. And he's one of those where if you think you're going to captain Haaland for most of the weeks, which I think most people will, then it matters less. But let's say Haaland does get rested 1 week or whatever, having Salah as a good vice captain, I think becomes quite crucial, especially if, say, Haaland did get rested or even injured. So if you look at my team, and I think if people have similar teams to me, the next obvious candidate is Kane, but just Kane relative to a midfielder like Salah. Scoring high points for Salah is just much easier with Kane, but Kane has been so consistent where you kind of guarantee a return every week. Andreas is just to show the Fulham love. Their double is pretty horrendous, but he's cheap. If you need him, if you got him, you can start him. Wouldn't expect that much. I reckon he could get a goal, but not very confident. Matoma, so I've got him. He hasn't returned in the last 3 games, but as established with just Brighton in general, they have had a tough run, right? Spurs, Chelsea. Nottingham Forest was a tough defeat, but I wonder, especially after getting out in the FA Cup, I'm sure there's a bit of hangover there. So I wouldn't worry too much, and attacking wise, they generally will just probably score quite a few. So in terms of Matoma, I think he will continue returning, and at that price, just so good. Similar to March, definitely keep. I think so I was having a look, and I mentioned the other video whether McAllister played deeper, and I don't think that was the case. That was mainly also because of the FA Cup. They put in Enciso more as the cam instead, but in the Prem they have stuck with McAllister at 10. So with penalties as well, like I'm saying, if you've got any 2 of March, Matoma, McAllister, wouldn't do a transfer on. So talked about McAllister. Grealish, right. Well, let's have a look at his expected goals involvement. And you can see, if we look at Grealish generally throughout the season, and I don't know where exactly, but let's say this is from World Cup, his XGI isn't always necessarily massive. And if you look at his scores, 5-8-5, 3-3-3, 12-12-7. He's like the Harry Kane of midfielders. recently quite consistent in returning, but not. That's not Phil Harry Kane then though. But I'm not sure the upside's there. Like Grealish for me, Foden could score a hat trick. Grealish wouldn't. A goal and assist is pretty much the ceiling, which is good. But with City fighting for the treble, I think there will be rotations. And will he start both? I'm not sure, which is what I would be worried about bringing in a Man City midfielder. But obviously, you only need one game as a City midfielder to really make the most of it. But yeah, when I get to my plans, you'll see what I'm trying to do, and we can then talk about it. Gakpo. So of the other Liverpool attackers, Diaz is back, but Gakpo is the one that is getting consistent minutes. Returned 2 in the last 3 games. Can get big hauls. Midfielder, pretty solid. Rotation for sure. He's definitely a rotation risk. If it was just a game a week, looking at individual game weeks, he will start at least probably most weeks. But when it's like a double game week, will he start both? I'm less convinced, especially with Diaz back. I mean, he's had a long-term injury, so he probably won't start in the next 2 games. But coming on, like if we look at the minutes, he obviously didn't even make it to the 60-minute mark, and then came off early. Well, early. It's not quite early, but I think he is a good option at 7.7. The question would be Grealish or Gakpo. That is a good question. If I had to go for one, if you want other Liverpool attackers, then obviously don't go for Gakpo, but I think I would go for Gakpo. Why I'm saying that is because Grealish, I think there could be some rotation. He's been pretty indispensable recently, but I think because of Champions League, it means he may get rested in the Prem, which City obviously want to focus on the Prem, but now there's like possibility for them to even room to not slip up, but it's fully in their hands. So I think his minutes won't be as 90 minutes, and that's not because Pep doesn't like him anymore. It's because Champions League is also one of probably their biggest priority. And Gakpo, you're more likely to see goals. Looking at Harry Wilson, I mean, he came off early in the Villa game, and he's dubbed as illness, so maybe it was just an illness concern. He scored back-to-back goals in the last 2 weeks, or the 2 weeks before. City, Liverpool was just tough, but considering his form, if you wanted like a differential type, possibly, but I wouldn't go there. Okay, Watkins should not be on the watch list. Forwards, for me, I mean, Antonio could have a shout here if we wanted to, but it's the 2 Liverpool boys, Darwin, Jota. The obvious pick is Jota. He's been having the minutes recently. With Darwin, you're kind of sweating on, will he start one of the games? And if he does, might get a good return. But towards now I talk about it, he shouldn't be on the watch list. It's basically Jota or don't go for it. I'd maybe even go Antonio before that just because of the minutes. But so that was generally my watch list of who I would target. I don't think there's many more I'd consider. So, right. I've just realised I haven't added any Man United players, so I'll just quickly go through the players I'd would get from then. De Gea is a solid shout, actually. You get a double here, 34, and you get a double 37 as well. And generally, their running, like Liverpool, is quite good. But I would probably go for Shaw, most obvious pick, I'd say, as you're likely to get a good upside in terms of getting some attacking returns. Otherwise, Dalot, recently he scored a goal, and also before that, actually, he had so many, or it felt like so many. Well, he kept on getting bonus points. I thought it was attacking returns, but he kept getting bonus points. As you can see here, you got 3 here, 3 here, 3 here, before he got injured, and then Shaw kind of took over as the United fullback, and then Shaw got injured, and now Dalot seems to be back in favour. I guess the only other issue is Shaw seems to be locked in because he's kind of playing centre back now as well. Whilst Dalot, he could, Wan-Bissaka could take his place basically. So I would choose Shaw, but Dalot's a bit cheaper, and in terms of attacking wise, I think they're both likely to return in some capacity. So as a midfield, so the outside shout was going to be Sabitzer, but hasn't really featured, so he's not really in the discussion. So it just becomes, obviously, you need Rashford. Most people have Rashford. Pretty easy. I think holding him was interesting. Like, he only missed one game, effectively. And then Fernandes, he's now back at 10. Got an assist. Very good XG and XA numbers. So, very good target to have. And then strikers, wouldn't go Martial, but it is cheap if you want to. Differential, he can return high sometimes, but I wouldn't go there. But so from this watch list, I'm going to now show you for those who may have had a wildcard, if it's wildcard, I haven't factored that in necessarily, but I can now go through a free hit draft just to show you of those who I would actually pick. And this is what I would do. Ignore Kepa because, I'm more looking at the starting lineup here. And it would be Edison in goal, Shaw, Alexander-Arnold, and Estupinan. Got West Ham boys in defence, if you wanted to. Then you've got Salah, March, Mitoma, Fernandes, Rashford, Haaland, Jota. I think that would be a very good free hit team and would likely return plenty of points. There is a question is, would you want Estupinan over Stones, or would you want Stones over Estupinan? It could be a much better, because I've realised I've only got, seems silly to only have 2 City players, but the rotation risk is kind of playing with my head a little bit, I think. But this is what I would do. Could swap out Estupinan for Stones, but I think this would be quite a good free hit draft. If you want other variations, you could do, what could you do? You could probably do this. Would you want 2 Liverpool defenders? I'm not sure, actually. Well, what you could do is, let's say he's just for filler. You can have Estupinan and then Stones this way. So start with more defenders. So you do a 4-5-1 instead, Haaland being the striker. Because I feel like the striking options aren't necessarily that great unless you go for Jota. But this is the general sort of layout I'd go. If you're not feeling Fernandes, then what you could do is Grealish. And then obviously just don't kick Stones and do that or whatever. And then bring back Jota. But yeah, like I said before, that's exactly what I'd do. All right, captaincy. So if we look at, so we should look at this free hit draft, right? Because these are the main players you'd want to captain. Obvious pick, Haaland. He's been a monster whole season, back to back, double-digit hauls. Be silly not to. Would he get rested in one of these two, or likely to not get 180 minutes? I would bet heavily he wouldn't get 180 minutes. If we quickly have a look at the Man City fixtures. Yeah, so you got Fulham, then West Ham, then you got Leeds, and then you got Real, and then Everton, and then Real again. I think it's unlikely he plays all 6 of these games, or starts. Let's do that. Let's say that. So we've got to be smart about this. But obvious pick, you only need 1 game for Haaland. He will be my captain. If not, second pick, just because he's got back-to-back home games. Salah, boring, obvious. If not, Rashford. He's back. Is any fitness concerns there? Maybe, but he has been maybe the second to most form player since coming back from the World Cup. I mean, Martinelli, Rashford, and I guess Haaland, but Haaland's just Haaland. But Villa against Brighton, it's a good double. Is it better than Fulham West Ham? No, I don't think so. And Haaland as well, but it's just a rotation risk you worry about there. But captaincy, for sure, Haaland in my opinion. So, let's have a look at my team now. And I'm going to do my transfers here so that I'm not going to be thinking about it the whole day. I'm just going to get to do it. So this is my team right now. Little context. I thought, and I still think I will this week. I wanted to bring in Salah last week. So I was actually going to get rid of Kane and Martinelli to get Salah here and then like just enabler. But I forgot to do my team. But it actually worked out because Kane got a nice 11 points for me. And what I'd say is maybe that's like a nice goodbye from him. Because, right, what I'm going to do, for sure, I think Salah makes sense because long term, I'm going to want him. Spurs, Fulham, then Brentford, Leicester. I'm going to want him. So I'm going to need Salah and he's got double. Right. I think the tricky bit, quite a lot of managers have sold Kane, so this is not an issue. But is there a question, going back to the captaincy point, as a long-term captaincy point, if Haaland's going to be your captain for most of the weeks, will Kane rival the points tally of Salah? So we look at this, 13, 6, 7, 9, 2, 6, 11. So if we added up, 19, 26, 35, 37, 43, 43, and 54. Wow, okay. 54 from game week 27, 54. And I think this includes his big game, right? Oh, 27, okay. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll include Kane's just to make it a bit tighter. 26, 56, okay. While Salah from his game week 26 has 21, 27, 28, 28, 33, 33, 43, 47, 47, 54, 56. Wow, okay. So they've got the same amount of points. But Salah's got a double game week. Kane won't have another double game week this week. And Kane is more consistent. So I guess the question for me would be, I want Salah, but that means getting rid of Kane and most likely not going to have him for the rest of the season. And especially maybe that Palace and Leeds game looks pretty good. And he has had a really good year. Spurs aside, 24 goals and 8 assists. Crazy. Somewhat overshadowed by Haaland. But if I kept him, maybe kept him on the bench, I brought in, say, Grealish, right? So I feel like this is the Kane conundrum of, do you want to keep him? Do we keep him or try to get the shiny new toy? So these are the two transfers. I've got two transfers, and I could do something like, oh, okay, sorry. I could do, no, so I'd have okay, so Stones. This is one, okay, so we're looking at the sort of options I have. Can't afford that, but just as a hypothetical, I think I can work around. So, I don't know actually. I got Gakpo, 5 million. I don't think anyone's 5. Okay, I could do a Kanji. Let's say. Do I want a Kanji or Gakpo, or just Salah? And get rid of Kane. So I could have Gakpo and a Kanji. So we're looking at just defensive clean sheets, and then Gakpo could even match Salah, but Salah you're paying that premium because you're guaranteeing the history and like the player that is Mo Salah, right? So this would be my transfer, most likely for Greenwood. I think this is what I'm going to do, but I think it is interesting to think about, do I want to keep Kane? I think having Salah is just kind of important for the remaining of the season. But Kane then becomes a little bit of a differential. but Salah double game week, I think it's hard to argue. So this is going to be one of my transfers. Now the question, I have to do that just to make the money work. And now Fernandes is fit. I mean, I'm going to keep him for the double, right? And he's in 10. I think, like, as long if he gets a goal, one goal in these 2 games, he's kind of made it worth it. Now, let me do that first and then confirm it. Do I do it? I might have an Arsenal player as well, but I'm going to do it. Okay. So, let's line this team up now. So, Greenwood will obviously be here. Watkins? Yes. Perfect. And who would be my vice? I guess Salah. Okay. So, this is my team. I've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 double game weekers. I think I'm going to start Trippier against Southampton. They're going to keep clean. I mean, they haven't kept clean sheet for so long. They're due one, right? They're due one. And they're what? They're at home. You gotta. I mean, against Tottenham, they killed Tottenham at home. Unlucky to concede a goal. I think they will keep a clean sheet. I think Trippier's fine. And so the conundrum is, I can bring in Jota for Watkins, or I can bring in Stones for Botman. Jota would be a very exciting pick, but if you said to me, because if I started, would I even start Watkins or Botman? So XG's gone down a little bit. GA. Let's assume I start Botman because I'm hoping to guarantee 6 points. Do I think Jota will get 10 points or John Stones will get 10 points? Jota's more likely to get 10 points or more because he's got high upside. But right, so I have set this sort of FPL planner. So it's called FPL team. You just put in your code. So if I put in Salah, and then Greenwood. This is my team now, right? And the one thing you need to see is, so if I took Jota out, right, Jota, I would have him there, great, and then I have him at Brentford at home, sure. Doesn't matter what transfers I'll do here, but then here, most likely, because of the doubles for these guys, if I want a third Liverpool player, either if I want Isaac, which is the more exciting, I'll do that, or I would do triple ups. I'll get Burn. But then I'm bringing in Burn for what? Jota? Surely I'm not going to do that. So I think I'll do Isaac, right? And then suddenly, maybe not having Jota, not taking that 4-point hit doesn't matter because doesn't make, or is a headache I don't necessarily need. So we go back, put back Watkins, and then I'll probably start Botman. Then, because also Jota at against Brentford is good, but then I've got Watkins away, sure, to Wolves. That would be quite a good fixture. And then here I could bring in Stones here. That's a separate point. Then if I moved on, this is where I would get Isaac out, take Isaac in, or I can still do the transfer of like Burn. So and then let's just look at how my weeks are turning out from here. Edison will be like that. Triples are looking good. I'll probably keep him in. Probably bring in the Chelsea players, I think. Or, well, it would be for City player. This would become Stones. And then a Chelsea if I really want in place of Watkins. So basically the decision becomes, is Jota with a -4 handicap worth it if I think Botman will get 6 points? Like, do I really think Jota will play both games? You know, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. But those XG numbers. Those XG numbers are ridiculous. High upside. Are we doing it? Oh, Botman. It's more exciting, isn't it? It is more exciting. All right, we're doing it. Gonna do it. So I'm gonna take Watkins out with Jota. Let me just check if there's any team news. BBC. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Jota for Watkins. Let's close that before I accidentally do this. And we do Jota. Because I think I have got options on the bench, but this is more exciting as a double game week. We're doing it. Fine. Done. Jota, Watkins. Perfect. This is my team. Right. So, good luck for double game week 34. Hope you enjoy it. It's like these are the weeks. I keep saying it, but recently there've just been so many good FPL weeks in terms of how fun they are doing the different transfers, because players are either, as in teams, are having double game weeks, or you know, we get to play our free hit chips and stuff. This is the end of the season. It's good for football fans, less so now for Arsenal, sadly. But to us, it's been a great season for Arsenal, I would like to add. But yeah, in general, at least FPL now will give me some. Well, this is the fun part of FPL. So hope you guys enjoy, and see you in the next video.